And welcome everyone to a WAC chat. Andy Katz here with Brette Tanner, head coach of Abilene Christian. And you guys are locking teams up. You've beaten Pepperdine on the road, New Mexico State at home, UTSA, 7-3 start. I know you got kind of a difficult road coming up at Arizona and BYU, but so far through 10, things seem to be clicking, at a pretty high clip. What are your thoughts on what you've seen thus far?
Yeah, I've been really proud of our guys. I think we this is a tough schedule, for us. We've gone through a tough slate of games and we've handled it. We've had a couple little moments where we stepped aside and didn't play great, but we've bounced back. And I think that's what I'm looking for this time of year. We're trying to prepare ourselves because really at our level, what matters, right, is January, February, March, and so we're just trying to prepare ourselves. And I think the guys are doing a good job of that so far.
Defensively, every coach wants to hang their hat on something. How much has that become this team's identity here early on?
Yeah, I think that throughout our history here, even as my time as the associate head coach, my time as the head coach, defense has kind of been what we hang our hat on. I think that what's helped us this year so far is that offensively we've actually gotten a little bit better. I knew that I was going to have to give a little bit. We usually are top five if we're not leading the country in forced turnovers and steals. We're not doing that right now, but that's okay. We're still pretty good, I think, and defensively. But I knew I had to give a little bit, so I would say that the big difference for us this year is that we've been better offensively.
What did you give to yield some of that? Where did you take from? Where?
Yeah, I think that we've scrambled and played hard and flew around like crazy, the last 10 years. And we're not really doing that this year. We've kind of pulled back a little bit. We still want to be good. We're focusing a little bit more on field goal percentage and stuff like that defensively that I've never really cared about that stuff because if we can steal 20 possessions, who really cares, right? And when you really extend your defense, you're going to give up some layups and some high percentage shots at times. But we're trying not to give those up this year. So a little bit change in philosophy, but we're still focused on the defensive side. But I think that now we're not quite having to exert as much energy, on the defensive end, which is allowing us to have a better pace on offense.
So every coach that I've talked to in the last 2 years about, roster management and building, you're either trying to fill a hole, you're trying to, find what you need specifically, but you never know that the pieces are going to fit until you actually get into it. What was your thought process in putting this roster together? And at this point, how are they all fitting?
Well, this is really hard to do in today's day and age, but we are searching for guys that really care about putting on an Abilene Christian University jersey. And I know that sounds good. It's a lot easier said than done. But we have a couple players on our roster that I've been familiar with for a long time because I know people, in their circle and in their families, and I think that's helped. I really do. I think when you care about the jersey you're putting on, then you give a little bit more effort and it means a little bit more to you. And then we really focused on roster retention. When it comes to all that stuff, we put all of our resources and efforts into retaining guys, and we did. We retained 7 guys off of last year's team, and I think that that's really helped. We got some maturity in the locker room. And then when we went out and the guys that we filled holes with, yeah, of course we went after needs. We needed a shooter, we needed some size, but those guys all came from people that we've been familiar with for a while, and we knew would care about being a student here at Abilene Christian.
In terms of junior college players, I used to cover the Southwest and the WAC and all that, and there was an era where all those programs, whether it was UTEP, New Mexico State, they fed off of getting JC guys, and then there was an era I think where people went away from it, and now I feel like it's getting back a little bit more in vogue for certain programs. What is it about the JC guy that you've been able to tap into that's been successful?
Well, I think some of it is, I was a junior college player, and I was a junior college coach for a very long time, as a head coach and an assistant. And so I think I can relate to those guys a little bit. I know their journey, and it's not just me. I have, members on my staff that played junior college. I have a member on my staff that was a junior college head coach, and so I just think we can relate to these kids a little bit, like I said, because we know their journey. But I think some people make the mistake. We're Abilene Christian, we don't have a lot of junior college kids. We've had junior college kids from, I mean, every year in my 13 years here. I think it's the best place to go get guys. They have experience. They're a little hungry, and I think they're also appreciative to be here. You know what I mean? They're not coming from a higher level where they think they're doing us a favor. They're truly appreciative of what they have, because they've in junior college, man, you don't get, you don't have anything, and so there's like I think really they're just more hungry. But I think the relation piece. These guys know they're very aware of my journey, and I think that helps.
All right, so let's look ahead to next week. At Arizona, at BYU. I will see you at BYU. Um, Obviously, on both those rosters, they have each has a freshman that going to be a lottery pick, got size, Koa Pete, Arizona, AJ DeBonsa at BYU. How do you handle, in general, like sort of a physical, imposing big that can sort of spread the floor a little bit, that sort of really can either play bully ball or take you off the dribble and get to the rim? How do you defend that?
Well, I was hoping you would be able to tell me, That's kind of so. No, I think, look, we've actually had some success in games like these throughout the years, and not just here, but in my time when I was over at Stephen F. Austin. And so I think the one thing we do, man, is we're honest with our guys about what we're up against. We don't try to hide anything or talk about, hey, guys, they're not, we are honest with what we're up against. And I mean, I haven't paid too much attention to BYU. Obviously, they're on TV every night, so I do see them. But I know with Arizona, the personnel is huge, but I don't know if we can do much about that. To me, I think they lead the country in 10-0 runs. I think they've had 11 of them this year. And so we've got to find a way to not let them have a 10-0 run, right? And we've got to stop the big runs. And that's on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively. And then in their guarantees, their guarantee games, which is what it is. We all know that. Man, they're like 50% of their shots occur in the first 10 or 15 seconds. And so we've got to find a way to stop them and make them run some offense. And I don't know if I have the answer for how to do those things yet, but we're definitely looking for them. But I think it's the biggest thing is, man, you're honest with your team. Look, guys, of course we're going in there to try to win the game, right? Like that's why we do this. But we also know that we have to play really well, and we need them maybe not to play their best. We're honest about that. We talk about that. And I think it gives us a realistic vision that there's zero pressure on us. Let's just go out there and have some fun and compete.
Last thing, and I don't know if this was done strategically. What I love about what you did with your schedule is, so these are the two highest profile games on your slate, but they're later in the non-conference. So you've got confidence. You've won on the road. You've won a neutral game. I always worry when coaches schedule a lot of these games. Sometimes it's out of their control, all up front. And so now you're like 0-5 and you've been beat up. And then you got to sort of play catch up, in your confidence. When these games come, and I'm not yielding them yet, but I mean, when they come, how ready is your group confidence wise to handle this kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely, and it was. I mean, I believe in two ways of doing it, right? I think you either do them right off the bat, and you get them out of the way, and that allows you to build confidence later, or you schedule them at the end, and you're playing well. And we have been playing well. I think that we have some confidence. Our guys do believe they belong on the floor. They're Division I basketball players too. And so, but I also think that if it doesn't go our way, we're able to roll right through it and move on. And so I prefer to have them here at the end. Sometimes it's out of your control. If I can't do that, then I actually put them right at the beginning to put them behind us. And so I do like where they're at on our schedule until you run up against them, of course, But yeah, I think I like where they're at, and I like who the opponents are. Like if you're going to play these games, why wouldn't you want to play the number one team in the country, right? And then why would you want to play the number one player in the country? I mean, why not go do it against the best?
Well, Brad, I appreciate you, and I will see you in Provo.
Sounds good. Look forward to it, Andy.